Today's cocktail is the Mai Tai. The Mai Tai is a rum-based cocktail consisting of 1 1/2 ounces white rum, 3/4 ounces orange curacao, 3/4 ounce fresh lime juice, 1/2 ounce orgeat syrup, 1/2 ounce dark rum, and can be garnished with a lime wheel and a mint sprig. Mix all ingredients except dark rum in a shaker with crushed ice. Shake and strain into a double rocks glass. Float the dark rum over the top, garnish with lime wheel and mint sprig. Enjoy. As we always say, drink responsibly, and if you're so inclined, I highly urge you to try the Mai Tai. Welcome back to Cocktails and Crankshafts. I'm here with my good buddy May, our guest host extraordinaire, and we are going to talk about my 2000 Autocross season.
Oh, look, I remember that little car.
Yeah, not going to do a lot of background here about my 1999 season. Let's just say 2000 was a new year and a new beginning. A couple of things happened in 2000. First, I got a new job. The new job meant I had a little spare change, so I was able to go out and buy a bunch of parts. I figure I would be competitive in the 2000 season. Let's talk a little bit about Street Modified. Okay,
Oh, wow.
in 2000, they opened a new class called Street Modified, which was an extension of the prior street touring classes. And street touring was very much for, there's no nice way to say this, it was for the fast and furious crowd. It was for kids that bought a Honda Civic and put a fart can muffler on it and a big old huge spoiler on the back, which using standard SCCA classing conventions, those kind of things would bump you up in the much more competitive classes with guys who had heavily modified their cars. So the street mod class was a way to sort of get around that. And what they did is they allowed a lot of typical bolt-on modifications, and you didn't change class. So the year I started in street mod, I started with a steel hood, and then I switched to a fancy fiberglass hood that I bought from Nopi. And I put in a cold air intake, I put in a strut tire brace, I put in a stainless steel header, lowering springs, new shocks, urethane bushings, bigger brakes, and bigger wheels and tires, and I never had to change class, which was great. The flip side was Street Modified also allowed people to add turbochargers to their engines, and I didn't have one of those. So I think I added maybe a total, and I never had my car on the dyno, but comparing my car with other people who had put their cars on the dyno, I probably had 10 or 12 extra horsepower in a 2,700 pound car. So that's not a lot of extra oomph. And basically when the turbo guys showed up, I lost, and I lost bad. But when they weren't around, I did pretty good. Let's look at the beginning of the season. All right, so first race of the season. Event number 1 was the Classic Motorsports Grand Prix held at the Lawrence Joel Coliseum in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And the Lawrence Joel, anybody knows North Carolina, that's where that's where Wake Forest plays their home basketball games. It is the arena in Winston-Salem. It's a big basketball arena, concert venue with a big old parking lot. Normally what we would do is we would paddock in one parking lot and the course would be laid out in the other. And it was a pretty good sized lot. Had a few trees and curbs in it and a couple of light poles, but really the biggest issue was that it was directly next to a Goodwill store and a bus stop. And sometimes we would get pedestrians wander into the course while it was hot.
That is so random. A bus stop and a Goodwill.
You'd have to red flag the car on the course, and then whatever corner worker was on that side would have to shoo them away. And like, hey, we're racing cars out here. You can't cut through here right now. And occasionally they got mad. And without fail, it was a black person.
Of course.
Luckily, no one ever asked me, as the only black person there usually, no one ever asked me to go, can you go can you deal with, no, I can't.
No, I can't.
I'm not the Negro translator. Thank you.
That's a whole different podcast.
Yeah, so I came in 7th place at that event, and memory's a little fuzzy, and I have photos, but I don't have any video of that season because I didn't own a camcorder yet. And for those that don't know, in 2000, we were still shooting on film and then developing it later. So
for the kids in the audience,
I don't have any time stamps. I can guesstimate where I was based on what parking lot I was in or what parts were on the car that day when I photographed it. But basically, I'm having to go back through. At every race, they gave us a little metal plaque. It's like a little thing that goes on a trophy. And then if you won that day, they give you a blank trophy, and you put the little plaque on the trophy, so it would list the name of the event, the date, and the location. So that's actually how I'm piecing together what happened that year. Also, because I'm a nerd, I kept a spreadsheet as a schedule that year because I was doing, I was autocrossing with 2 clubs, and I was starting to get into import drag racing that year. So I kept a spreadsheet with all my weekends laid out, and then I would go back and put my placings, and for drag events, sometimes I would put my quarter mile times. But anyway, I don't remember why I came in 7th, but I'm guessing by March, my car might not have been fully built yet, which is, I didn't have my sticky tires or my new shocks and springs yet. I'm thinking I would have, let me think. I relocated, I started my new job the first week of March of that year, so I probably did not have my relocation money. Well, that was probably the issue, is I didn't have my relocation bonus yet, and therefore I didn't have the cash to buy the parts. So I was basically still driving the 99 car on street tires, which explains the 7th place, it really does. Next event. This was a North Carolina Autocross Championship event, which was a sort of an overarching championship of the 4 autocross clubs in North Carolina, that being Tar Heel, Triad, which I was a member of, Central Carolina, SCCA, and Blue Ridge. I forget the full name of Blue Ridge, but basically they were the club for the people that lived in Asheville. So the short version is the Raleigh area clubs, the Greensboro area clubs, the Asheville clubs, and the Charlotte clubs. Those were the 4 clubs that hosted the North Carolina Autocross Championship. And basically they hosted 2 of their club events. Each were the NCAC crossover event. So this was the event that brought out all the big dogs with the turbochargers, and that's why I was in 5th place, because I'm pretty sure I had my sticky tires by this point. So my times were probably down 1 to 2 seconds per course, depending on the layout of the course. But when somebody's got 50, 60, 70 more horsepower than you in a similar sized car, that's a lot to overcome. This was at the Dixie Classic Fairgrounds, and again, people who know Winston-Salem, North Carolina, know that the Dixie Classic Fairgrounds is directly behind the Lawrence Joel Coliseum. And there was a paved area inside the pavilion of the fairgrounds that we would lay our autocross courts out on, and then we would paddock inside the Midway Pavilion. The cool thing about the Dixie Classic Fairgrounds is that it had a grandstand, so your family and friends could sit in the grandstand and watch instead of having to stand out on the hot asphalt in the sun in the summertime in North Carolina. Although in April,
nobody wants to do.
Right, but in April it's usually not really that hot, luckily. So again, that was the 5th place, and it was what it was. May 7th, event number 3, Guilford Technical Community College Grand Prix. I hated this event. In all my years aligned with Triad Sports Car Club, I only did this event once.
Why?
Because not a bad course. We used to have, I used to frame things this way. We had Honda courses and Mustang courses. The 240, even though it's underpowered, it likes Mustang courses. It likes big sweepy courses because I didn't have to slow down for the turns. The Honda courses, the front wheel drive guys like these little tight courses. And the parking lot that we used at GTCC was on the backside of campus along the railroad tracks. So it's this very long, narrow parking lot, and consequently, it was used to have a lot of tight, twisty stuff. Very Honda kind of course that I was not crazy about.
Got it.
But I have a photo from this event, and by this time, I definitely have the sticky tires. I've got the lowered springs, I've got the 17-inch wheels, and I've got the fiberglass hood on the car. So I'm at the peak of my powers.
You're fully kitted out as much as you would have kitted out that car.
Exactly. It showed because GTCC, I came in first that event. That was my first place ever.
Woohoo!
And I was super excited. Next event, Danville Parks and Recreation Grand Prix. Okay, Danville, Virginia is just a little bit north of the North Carolina-Virginia border, north of Greensboro, off of Highway 29. And actually, I guess the airport's on Highway 58, which again, if you know Southern Virginia, 58 runs along the state line just north of the North Carolina border across the south edge of Virginia. Danville was an airport course. We were using a older back part of the runway. Yeah, I guess looking at the aerial view, I guess that would have been a runway in the old days for smaller planes, but they had the 2 longer runways put in. So we would use that area. We paddock on one side and we put a course on the other. And that was a big, fast, sweeping course. I loved it. The only thing better would have been if my car had more horsepower.
So the aerial view looks really cool.
Yeah, but that was a course you could really stretch out. They put a lot of cones out there, and that was a long course walk in the morning. But the event itself was just a ton of fun. And Danville, that's a location that multiple clubs would use. Triad used it, and then Tar Heel was using it for a while. The airports, these old retired airports or airports that had unused runways, were a great place to autocross because they're big, they're flat, and there's no trees or curbs. One of the things with mall parking lots and some of those places is that parking lots have curbs, and a lot of times parking lots have poles and trees. And if you make a mistake with your car and hit one of those things, it'll break your car. Whereas with the airport course, there's nothing to hit.
Yeah, it's kind of how you want it, right?
Yes, ideally. But they're, an active airport is not going to give you the runway. Old airports that have, municipal airports or retired airports, they don't keep up the pavement. So that's that sort of double-edged sword.
Right. You can drive there, but the roads are busted.
Right. And we'll talk about that more when we talk about Laurinburg and Lumberton. So Danville, I came in second place, and I don't remember who was in front of me. It might have been Frankie. It might have been one of those Mustangs. I don't really remember. But again, second place wasn't bad, all things considered, because the previous year I was used to being 4th, 5th, 7th, 12th, whatever. Oh, speaking of which, the next event, Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Last time ever? Question mark? So
ever for the car or ever for the place? Or
for the place. So it's a long story. First of all, Rocky Mountain was a 2-day event, and I don't remember exactly how that worked. I think you had a total of 8 runs over the 2 days. So you had 4 on Saturday and 4 on Sunday. And I don't think you had to run all 8. Autocross typically, if you get 4 runs and you want to run 2, that's your business. There's no disqualification for not running the full complement of sessions. The important thing is that you work the course. If you don't work the course, they will disqualify you and throw away your times. But as long as you work when you're supposed to work, you can do 1 session, you can do all 4, you can do, on a 2-day event like this, you can do all 8. So I don't remember if I was there both days. What I do know, because I used to live in Rocky Mount, is this was an old airport that had been retired for many years, and the main runway was there. The cross runway had been sort of truncated over the years, and they were storing construction equipment on it. But it's funny because this airport was right across the street from what had been Hardee's headquarters. And this airport was right across Highway 301 from there. But more importantly, the ground had been purchased by the city, and part of it was being used as the football stadium for the high school. So there was a football stadium and a fence and a bunch of asphalt. I mean, they didn't even have lines on it because they would just park there randomly for football games. And, we would autocross on it. And Tar Heel used that site for years and years until it finally did go away in 2004. Actually was the last time. So as you can see, we used to paddock in the back part of the main runway, and then the course would be up closer to the football field, and that way they can incorporate the cross section. So this was usually what we call a 2-car course with an overlap, where one car would launch, go down to the far end and come back, and once he cleared the far end, they would launch the second car. So typically you would have 2 cars on course with about a 15 or 20 second interval between them. Did I mention I came in second place that event?
Yeah. Yes.
And that was the 3rd NCAC event of the year. All right, next event, Cellular Plus Grand Prix, event number 5 for the Triad Sports Car Club, July 9th, 2000. Back at the Dixie Classic Fairgrounds, I came in second place. Notable about this event is that one of my college buddies was in town visiting his kids and was able to stand out there in the heat and take pictures of me all day. Second place at Cellular Plus at Dixie Classic again. You can see there's some smoke coming off my tires because I locked up my brakes and I literally wore through. These tires were super duper sticky. They were street legal only in the sense that they had a they had grooves in them that met the minimum tread length requirement for a street legal tire in the United States of America. Those treads wore away almost the first time you used the tires. So these things were great when the pavement was dry. They were a nightmare when the pavement was wet. They also did not like cold weather, but when it was hot and dry, they stuck like glue. But if you locked up your brakes, you would wear through the rubber and go right immediately down to the steel belts, which is what I did. Yeah. But we were halfway through the season, and I'm not going to lie, the rest of the year, I had a magic marker, and I would just Sharpie over the cords and hope that
Wow.
I would Sharpie over the cords, and when I was inspection, I would make sure I'd roll the car so that part of the tire was up under the wheel where they couldn't see it.
That is some low budget shit, but you know what? I respect the hustle.
Tricks of the trade. Somebody taught me that. I didn't come up with that on my own. Next event.
Damn hustling.
Motorsports Connection Grand Prix. This was North Carolina Autocross Championship event number 6 back at the Dixie Classic Fairgrounds. We spent a lot of time at the Dixie Classic Fairgrounds because during the time I was in Triad, we had been uninvited from the Greensboro Coliseum. Let's just say that there was a Pontiac Firebird and a light pole, and we'll leave it at that. I came in 3rd place at NCAC number 6 because the 2 cars in front of me were the turbo dudes. 3rd place at Motorsports Connections Grand Prix. Next event.
Moving on.
Eastland Mall, Charlotte, North Carolina. This was a 24-hour autocross, which is different from a 2-day autocross. So the 24-hour autocross was, you got, I don't remember how many runs you got. I think you got as many as you wanted. You had to work. You had to schedule certain times to work. And then a certain college that we both go to or went to has a big football game on Labor Day weekend. And I was trying to get back to Raleigh to make the football game. So I did a 1-day, and it rained buckets. I was out working the course when it started raining. For those that don't know, autocross goes rain or shine. And if you're out working the course when it starts raining and your waterproof parka that you always bring with you to the autocrosses is in your car, just get rained on. And I was smart because I checked the forecast. So I was wearing like swimming trunks and a lightweight a knit polo, a polyester blend polo. But still, I got soaked, and I had to stay out there until they stopped the event. They red flagged it because you're going to love this. North Carolina in the summertime, the raindrops were so big, they were setting off the timing equipment. The photo eye on the timing equipment, the raindrops were tripping the photo beams. That's when they called us in off the course. Of course, by that point, I was soaked. Water was squishing out of my shoes, my sock. I was miserable. The good news was, because it rained so much, the fast guys couldn't go that fast. So I had gotten down a couple of good clean times while the course was still dry, because I got there early in the afternoon. And I ended up in 3rd place, even though I did not stay for Sunday. Event number 7. A Deco Grand Prix. A Deco was a temp agency, office services company or something. They sponsored a couple of our events. And I came in 1st place. We were back in the LJVM parking lot, and it was a good event. Anytime I can walk away with the 1st place, I'm happy. So this was Tar Heel number 6 and NCAC number 7, and it was down in Lumberton. This is the first event that was ever videotaped for me, because Lumberton is not far from where my parents live, and I had my dad drive over and meet me there.
Oh, fun.
And he brought the old VHS shoulder-mounted camcorder and videotaped me, and I have no idea.
Oh, yeah.
But I think I lost it on purpose, because what I remember is my very first time on the course, I did a loop-de-loop.
What is a loop-de-loop?
I spun out. And not just a little bit, I did like a whole 360.
Yikes.
Because it's old, dusty concrete. Because, again, the runways that they don't use, they don't maintain. I mean, you can look at the picture and see all that grass. So if there's loose bits of concrete or gravel that gets on the course, there's nobody to remove it. And I hit a slick spot going through the slalom, and I went around and around.
Happy fun time.
I was so embarrassed. And my other friend, you know her, the one you met, the big, tall, dark-skinned one.
Mm-hmm.
Married now. Yeah, she was there too. And I was thoroughly embarrassed. I walked away with a 5th place because, again, the horsepower guys were there, and it was a dry course, and they laid down some rubber. Them dudes were terrifying. Anywho, 5th place, construction zone in Lumberton. They went back to Danville. I did not go. I checked my schedule. That was not a football weekend at our favorite university. That was not homecoming weekend. I don't know why I didn't go. I think maybe I looked at the points, and maybe they had the thing where they do your 6 best events or whatever.
Oh, okay.
I figure I didn't need to go, or maybe I'd broken something.
Who knows?
I don't remember. Anyway, it's been a long time ago, so I don't remember. I mean, that's almost 20 years at this point. Last event of the year, Urban Ministries Grand Prix, event number 9. This was actually, now there's some discrepancy here because one, the plaque says that we were at Dixie Classic. The event calendar says that we were at Lawrence Joel.
Oh.
I don't have any footage, so I can't tell you. Don't have any photos, so I can't tell you. What I can tell you is that I came in 1st place.
But I don't believe you because you don't have no footage.
You don't have to believe me.
Oh, okay. You don't have no footage, no proof. You don't know where you were.
Actually, because it's funny because I did throw out the plaques, but where are they? Here's the photographic evidence. As you can see, that's the big championship season trophy with my name on it.
All right.
And that says 1st place. That says 1st place. That says 1st place. Some of these are from 01. I'm not going to lie about that. That says 3rd place. And I believe that was a 1st place. So, yeah, you do the math. Oh, wait. What are you saying you don't believe? You saw the trophies. They were in my house.
No, I've seen them. I'm just
You've actually seen the trophies. You know.
Yeah, I've seen them.
I'm not making up this bull because you were at a couple of these events too.
And I did see the trophies.
Yeah, so the 2000 season was great, only to be surpassed by the 2001 season. That'll be another episode. We'll talk about that another time. Thank you for watching Cocktails and Crankshafts. If you enjoy my content, please like, share, and subscribe. Be sure to hit the bell icon, and we'll see you soon with new content.